We're doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. There's so much going on in the world of sports, in the world in general. But I want to start with a little Tequila Tuesday.
Okay.
So, I know did you have the event in Cincinnati? I know there's an event in Cincinnati. I think
Yes.
it was last week.
Restaurant week. Restaurant week for 3 days. And it was awesome. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we had tastings at the Kroger Eatery. It was phenomenal. To me, there was nobody who tasted the tequila that didn't like it, and everybody wanted to know where to find the bottles. So that to me was outstanding.
So let's talk about Grand Leyenda tequila a little bit.
Mhm.
I know we've talked about it on the show occasionally, but obviously, I don't know that we've really gone in depth. So tell me a little bit about how you got into the tequila business. I know it started off in a few states, and now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's in 48 states now.
Yeah, 48 states online.
Online.
Online, yes. So Country Wine and Spirits, that's where our tequila is pushed online. They've done a great job for us. We're very proud of that. That was a big step. The next big step was getting into Ohio. We're going to be in Dallas. We're going to be in New York. We're already in Hawaii. We're already in Las Vegas. We're already in California. We're already in Florida. And so we're starting to really scale it. And people are starting to see that we can compete with any of the tequilas. So because we're organic, we're 100% USDA organic. We add nothing. There's no preservatives put into our tequila. A lot of people say they're organic, but there's something in there that allows them not to be certified. We're 100% USDA certified organic tequila. And we're very proud of it. It's a smooth taste, and it's just been awesome.
Everyone I know, and I think the first time we talked about it, you had gone on I Am Athlete, and they all had a taste, and I saw their reactions
Uh-huh.
there, and then everyone I know who's tried is nothing but positive feedback, and it's the only fully black owned tequila company.
Well, that's changed now
Oh,
because LeBron James is in the space.
okay.
Mike Jordan's in the space. I hear Kevin Hart's coming into the space. You got Rock now who's in the space. So this tequila thing is really starting to push. It's the one spirit that has gone up, and it is an upper. It's the only uh, alcohol spirit that is an upper, not a downer.
I gotta say, I drink a little bit of tequila, and as we've gone through the weeks, I'm really surprised because we talked with like Jamel Hill, and she takes shots of Hennessy on her show when she does her, straight no chaser. But then she's like, "Well, I'm a tequila drinker." Right? We talked with
Right.
Sarah Spain, she's a tequila drinker. We talked
Mhm.
with Cynthia Freeland, she's like, "Well,
Yeah.
I everyone we've talked to just without knowing have been tequila drinkers." So who knew that it was so big? I know that when I moved to Arizona, a lot of tequila drinkers I found myself around, and you weren't around yet, so I'm looking forward to getting some Grand Leyenda. Um,
Can't wait to have a chance because I think, and hopefully we're trying to get in Canada. There's no doubt about that. That's something that's important to me too. And we're going to make it happen. It's just, we've had to roll this out the right way and we're doing well. Matter of fact, it's interesting. Here's some little sample bottles right here that we use to take around on the road.
so you just want
If
to
people
tease me?
just,
You just want to show me some tequila?
I mean, you know how it is, Anthony.
All right. Well, listen, like I said, all the feedback has been really positive. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. I know you're very proud of it, which I
Very.
think is important. I love the fact that it's, again, uh, we talk about don't panic. It's organic. I think
Absolutely.
that's important in this day and age. I think it's an important thing. So
I found out more so than anything, and like you said, not to keep going in on it, it's the health benefits because of the natural agave. You're not putting any chemicals in your body. And I find more people really love the health benefits of drinking tequila overall. more so than any other spirit, just because there are health benefits to tequila because it is an upper. And if you get the right tequila that's not mixed with a bunch of stuff, you're gonna wake up the next day and feel great. Remember when we were young, we drink that old bad stuff, and boy, when it hit, it burned, and the next day it didn't come out the right way. So we're out of that business. This is real premium taste, real smooth, and it's clean and it's really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So from tequila to the draft, which I think,
Mhm.
after the draft, I think some of the GMs and owners are going to need some some tequila, because drafts, it's the toughest thing I think that is done by a football team, because you never really know, right? Every time I've heard this is a surefire prospect, it's still 50-50. Let's be honest, right? We know it's their work ethic, their coaching, the system. There's so many variables. What happens when they get paid, right? A lot of
Mhm.
athletes talk about, oh, I just wanted to get paid. And then once you get paid, they're different.
They're done.
So
Yes.
the draft this year, right? I want to start with the 49ers. They moved up to number 3, and they clearly moved up to number 3 for a reason. We're all assuming a quarterback.
Mhm.
Would you agree with that, first off, that you think it's a quarterback?
Oh, it has to be for what they gave up. You wouldn't give up as much as they gave up if it wasn't for a quarterback.
Do you, if it was you with that pick, and let's assume that so far the mock drafts, the experts are correct, and it's, listen, Trevor Lawrence is going 1. I think I don't think anyone's fooling themselves to think, he's not going 1. Zach Wilson, I think, is the consensus number 2, although there's been some debate there, but I think it is pretty. If you're the 49ers, you've got Jimmy G, you're not necessarily overwhelmed with his performance, I guess. I know he's been hurt and some other things, but who would you target as that number 3? Who would you like to have on that team?
Justin Fields. And I
Justin Fields?
tell you, because I think Kyle Shanahan's one of the best play callers in all of pro football. And I think he would do a great job of putting an offense around Justin to elevate and showcase his talent and ability. You have a young man that ran 4.4. He stumbled. He probably runs faster than 4.4. He can make all the throws. He comes from a big time program. At one time, he was a consensus number, possibly 1 or 2 pick, and now he's falling. And it's because of things that are said. And one of the problems I have is that people are saying things about these players, and some of these players at some point in time, their agents or them themselves, they need to hold people liable for what they're saying. Because this young man, unless it's coming from a coach or the office coordinator or the AD, how can anybody say anything about any player? You just don't know. So I think something said the Ohio State quarterbacks from the past has kind of, you know, pulled him down a little bit. But I think the guy's a tremendous player.
So I want to pause there for a second, because it's an interesting thing that we have. You're talking about the history of a position at a school. And it's not just Ohio State with quarterbacks, sorry, the Ohio State with quarterbacks.
Mhm.
It's other programs too, but why is it just, I get it, there could be but what does Justin Fields, his ability, have to do with, 4 quarterbacks ago that happened to go to the same school? Why do you think they do that? Is it just the system
Well,
makes them look better than they are, or is it something
no,
else?
there's several players that have come out of Ohio State at the quarterback position who have similar probably profiles, not identical, but similar. And so those guys haven't made it. Those guys didn't even come close to panning out in the
Mhm.
National Football League. So there's a little asterisk by the quarterback position at Ohio State. They're going to win a lot of games. That guy is probably the leader of the whole offense of the team, probably. But at the end of the day, he can't play well enough when he matriculates into the National Football League. I don't think that's going to be the case with this young man.
Okay, so he's gonna be the exception. So I think we're all in agreement. It's court. I don't remember the last time we saw quarterback 1, 2, 3, but
Mm-hmm.
I think we're agreed that it's 1, 2, 3. So really, the draft starts right at number 4. The
Mm-hmm.
Falcons have the 4th pick. Um, there's a ton of options for them now. The Again, we've been looking at the mock drafts and that. I've seen anywhere from Pitts, the tight end who I don't know that. Okay, let's start there. A tight end at 4. A tight end at 4. Now, listen, I've had people compare him to Calvin Johnson just because of his size and his wingspan, his speed, his all that stuff. How much impact can a tight end make to warrant a number 4 pick overall?
This guy just he can make an impact. Let's not. I can't deny that he's a tremendous skilled athlete. But I think at the tight end position, I would be concerned about his ability to block. I think people would know when he's in the game, he is legitimately a pass catcher and pass catcher only. The guy was 239 pounds. That concerns me. He can't go put his hand in the ground and take on these physical defensive ends, play down and every down. He just can't do it. He won't be asked to do that. So that's concerning. And so you kind of tip your hand who you are offensively when you draft him. So I think you win games with big people, physical people. You have to have those type of guys. Do you have to have guys like him? There's no question you do, because they can score the ball. You got to have guys that can score the football. But at the same time, if I can't protect, if I can't run to be able to do those things to give him a chance, it's all going to be for naught anyway.
Because that's the question, right? Does Atlanta have an offensive line where they won't need the help of a tight end blocking? Because if you think about this side of it, I'm sure you would have had a lot of fun with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Pitts, right? That would have been some nice weapons to have. Do you think Atlanta's, their front five, there's good enough to block, give Matt Ryan enough time to use those weapons at this point? Obviously, there's a lot. Things could change, but today,
I think there's a bigger question in Atlanta. I think everybody keeps talking about tight end and this and that. That's what everybody's mock draft is saying. What the organization might be saying is, we got to go find the next quarterback.
You took my next question.
Yeah, but that's what it's going to be. Matt Ryan is getting up there now, and they haven't really won since the Super Bowl year. So you got a new coach. I'm sure he wants a veteran quarterback, but at the same time, he needs his guy. Not saying that Matt's not his guy and he's not his guy, but he needs his guy. So you got to go find a way to get a quarterback that you feel can help the organization move forward. And I think that's what the head coach is charged with doing.
I know it's not every coach. I get this. But when you don't draft, when you don't pick, right, whether it's a GM, a coach, or that guy, that quarterback, unless it's one of the elite, right? Is there kind of in the back of your mind always like, I want to get my people in there? Or can they change their mind and be like, I like who's there today?
No, that's the key, Anthony, to any of these things. I think the vision, collaboration, and alignment of coach, GM, ownership is so important. The coach doesn't need to pick all the players, but he's got to coach them all. He's got to lead them all. The GM can have that job as long as he knows what the coach needs and understands what the coach is looking for and what he's going to need to be successful. If you look at it from a top-down thing, the GM, the scouts, and all those guys, they're trying to do everything they can to have the coaches win. Because if they don't, they get judged by that too. When the coaches don't win, the finger's not just pointing at him, but who's all these scouts, who's all these people that made the decisions to put these guys on the team? They have to wear that as well. So I think it's interesting the way people do it, but there's only one way in my mind that it works, having been in it and seen it firsthand. You have to draft for what the coach and the coaches need, not for what the GM thinks. And if it changes, if it goes the other way, trust me, it's going to be a problem.
It's such a weird dynamic for someone who's not lived through it to know that I need to work with these tools, but I don't get to pick my tools. Someone else is picking those tools for me. And if it doesn't work, it's my fault that the tools that you gave me didn't work. It's no other industry, right? Like I have a team. If I don't have a say in my team, it would be very weird for me. I'm very, my people say, hey, these are the options. Which one do you want? I find that so, for me, maybe I'm a bit of a control freak. I would have trouble.
It's just like if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, Anthony, I want you to fly this plane." And the first thing I'm sure you would say is, "Are you going to teach me? You're going to teach me what I need to know. Not that I'm afraid to do it. You teach me, I'm a fast learner. I'll learn what to do. I'll give you what you want, but you got to give me what I need in order to do that. That's what we're talking about. And that's why it's so different when you hear all these GMs that have power. They can have all the power they want. I could care less. Are you getting the coach what he needs to win? And if you do that, everything else, nothing else matters. And because now if the coach can coach, then he's going to take those players and they're going to become successful. And everybody, wins in that situation. But and I always say this, things change when you add too many people into something. If you add too many people, too many thoughts, because what happens, Anthony, is people start wanting to win their way as opposed to what our way is. And that's when the lines get blurred and problems start to happen.
I'm not going to cuss, but my grandmother used to say this, and I translate it from Greek to English, and I'll give you the clean version, right? But basically, it was if too many chefs put their finger in the soup comes out tasting like ish.
Yeah. Yes.
And I know it loses a little bit in the translation and keeping it clean, but it's true, right? If too many people are sticking their finger in there, it's not coming out tasting that good. I get that. So there was another scenario that I've also seen, right? I've scoured a ton of mock drafts, and I was going to bring this one up to you about the Bears trading up to number 4 if Trey Lance is available. One, listen, they need a quarterback. We know that. We've probably beaten that horse into the ground. But is he worth moving up to number 4 and taking up from 20? Because they're going to have to give up some capital that they're pretty thin on, let's be honest, right? Because they gave up a lot, too much for Trubisky a couple of years back.
Absolutely. If your organization thinks and believes that that's the guy, you have to do it. I personally would not do that. I personally wouldn't like to be in the situation they're in now. And I love Andy. I just think you have to have your guy that you feel really good about. And again, as I said, he inherited some players. There's no question he did. And he made it work. And then it wasn't working. Then he brought in a guy he wanted. So now everybody's watching the head coach. Everybody's looking at him and what he does. And so there's a fine line right there. Do I go get a young player who everybody's going to want me to play right away? Do I stay with the veteran player? How many games can he help me win? Is he good enough? So those are all the questions that's going to drive draft day for them. But if they feel comfortable that this young quarterback can come in and become something, then you got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, this isn't just because I'm a Bears fan, but I mean, when you look at your quarterbacks and how much money Dalton and Foles are being paid, it's not ideal. Like, I would rather have a young quarterback who might stumble in the beginning, but at least I'm betting on potential at this point versus,
right.
Andy is good enough that he's going to win them some games. Well, if you're, isn't the worst possible thing to be 8? Well, I guess I was gonna say 8 and 8, but 8 and 9, right? 9 and 8, 7 and 10. Isn't that because now you don't get a very high draft pick, right? You're not bad enough, right, to win in the draft, and you're not good enough to compete in the playoffs. Let me ask you, would you rather be in the middle of the pack, or would you rather be terrible getting top draft picks, or obviously you want to be good and in the playoffs, but is the middle of the pack the worst place to be?
It's not. I mean, it's not the best place to be, but I don't think it's the worst place to be. I think the worst place to be not winning.
Yeah.
Because the pressure, just the losing mentality and culture that you create is not worth it. This game's about winning, and players are not built to lose. And so you keep putting these losses on them, and I just don't think they handle that right. They handle it the wrong way. The teams that are in the middle, the fans, the players, what they'll say is, man, we just need to get over the hump.
Right.
We need to piece
or that one or two piece. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It gives them hope.
Yeah. Yes, you have hope there. On the other side of it, you don't have any hope. Okay. And then, like you said, if you're picking at the top of the draft and you're still not winning, then you really have no hope. That's a problem.
Good point.
Because, like you said, if I'm at the end, it's because I want to be first. And if I'm first, and if I'm putting premium capital on my team, these assets, then I should be getting better, because you said it, the league is set up for everybody to be 8-8. At the end of the day, you can be very easily. And I think that's important for people to understand.
I put it to people don't like this opinion when I give it. It's a basketball one, but especially the people I know in Philly, right? I say, listen, you wanted to trust the process, but I think it affected, right, Joel Embiid and others, because you can't go that many seasons of just losing, because it does become easier, right? When you lose and you get used to losing, it becomes easy to lose. And no matter how angry maybe you were in season 1 and 2 at losing, by season 5, yeah, okay. It's just you don't want it to become the norm, right?
Yeah. And Anthony, let's take even a deeper dive into that. You created this process because you thought it was going to take you where? To the championship. And it hasn't.
Right.
So somebody's got to pay for that. There's a lot of people that get swept, behind, get left behind, I should say, because they didn't produce on the other side of it, because we did all this, we acquired these players, we acquired these people, and where did it get us to? Okay, we make the playoffs. Well, I can't do all this just to make the playoffs. I got to do this to win a championship, because eventually it's going to come back and catch up to me from a dollars and cents standpoint, or age, or whatever, the injury, whatever. So I got to make it happen. If it doesn't happen, then I failed.
We're going to go to one of your old teams, the Bengals. So they pick next. So whatever happens with Atlanta, the Bengals they've been thrown 3 names around. Now for me, it's a no-brainer. However, do you hear Penny Sewell? You hear Jamar Chase, and obviously Kyle Pitts as well. Mm-hmm. Is it as easy a choice for you, or is it a different one of those, other than those 3, that you think the Bengals should look at?
It's not an easy choice. I mean, to me, it's quite hard. You got to ask yourself, how good is the tackle? Because I have a franchise quarterback that, if I can keep him upright, could be arguably one of the better players in the league. Mm-hmm. Because he demonstrated that. So, and how much did I improve in the offseason at that position? They made a trade for Riley Reef. Is that enough? If it's not, I have to do everything I can to protect the franchise. That's the way my mind works. The way most people's mind work, I take the best available player, regardless of position, and I take him. And that would be Jamar Chase. So I have been in that organization. They love, obviously they want linemen. They want to protect their quarterback because they love the passing game. But at the same time, they love the skilled receivers. They always have. If you're a receiver or DB, you got a chance. And that's the way it's been in Cincinnati.
See, for me, why I say it's an easy decision is you do have what could be a franchise quarterback. And the only thing that stopped you from being even more, like being competitive last year, was an O-line, and probably part of the reason he got hurt, right? Anything is possible in any game, but it was part of the reason, right? So for me, I'm like, it's a no-brainer. I'm taking the best offensive lineman because that's what I need to be competitive. And if I don't, right, if I don't do that, and now the free agent pick up whatever trades, whatever they do isn't enough, well, guess what everyone's going to be saying? Well, you didn't give him any O-line help. No wonder he got sacked a million times, and now he wants out of Cincinnati. We heard the rumors earlier from Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, where it's like I can't keep getting beat up. I can't keep running for my life. And so that's why I say, for me, it's just like, listen, if that's my franchise, if we agree that quarterback is the most important position, then that's where I start. Now I get it. Jamar Chase is an exceptional, we think he's going to be, anything is possible, an exceptional player. But you have Higgins, you have Boyd, you have some pieces there already. But someone sent me this graphic that I thought was very indicative of the Bengals, and it showed Burrow with Sewell in front of him, and it shows the football with an arrow and a receiver catching it, right? And then below it was Chase standing as a wide receiver, and Burrow laying on his back and saying any other offensive lineman. Yeah, I guess it was pretty accurate.
It's amazing. The other thing, and I know you and others have thought of this. What hits my mind when I think about the Bengals, and I said just a second ago, they may take Chase. We know they need to go offensive line, because the other caveat that hits me is look what the division has done now. I mean, the Cleveland Browns just went and got Jadeveon Clowney. So
Right.
how block this guy, block this front? We struggle with Myles Garrett, and now we got another guy on the other side. So I truly believe you got to win within your division first before you can ever do anything else. And if you can't protect against that team, talking about Cleveland, because they have a really good defense now. And it might not show up in the stats, but they on paper, they have a pretty good defense. Pittsburgh is always going to be traditionally good. Baltimore is going to always be traditionally good. So if I don't have tackles that can block those guys, I got a problem.
And that's what I was going to say. That's 6 games a year against 3 of the historically better. Well, now the Browns I think are going to be better. 3 really good defenses who put pressure on the quarterback. You got to put your attention there, right? Like
you do. And there's people saying, well, you can do it in the second round. I'm not, and maybe you can. I mean, again, I'd rather know that I have the tackle I want before I ever do anything else. Because you said it earlier, if Joe Burrow is on his back, and we got to remember he's coming off an injury, he's going to be somewhat gun shy to begin with. That's just normal and natural. And then he has to get through that. You help him get through that by putting it. It might even just be optics for him, but I guarantee you, just having better linemen on the team, he's going to feel better. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there, because like I said, it's about protecting the quarterback, and that'll give him time. Like he does it, it's not like he's Aaron Rodgers, who has one receiver and is crying for some help that where they need another wide receiver. Then okay, it makes sense. But if you can't protect them, like I said, that division is going to be tough this year. There's Pittsburgh is always. You think back to even when that year, I think 2 years ago, when Ben Roethlisberger was hurt, and they still were really a good team. Baltimore is going to be a good team. Cleveland now has shown that they're going to be a good team. I do what I can to help him out. But from that team to another one of your old teams, the Raiders, but a different story though, unfortunately, because they came under a little bit of heat when the verdict came out with the Derek Chauvin trial, and they posted "I can breathe." Now I get it. I think the sentiment was, what they wanted to do was in the right place. They were kind of referencing George Floyd's brother, who said, "Now we can breathe again." I don't know that they did their research, which I'm big on doing research, and not knowing that there was the police who had the shirts that said "I can breathe," kind of as a push back towards some of the protesters. In that, I don't know if you spoke with anyone within the organization. If I'm sure you saw this story, is it just a faux pas and we give them a pass? Is it, hey, they should have known better?
No, I offended Mark on it. I just know Mark, and I have to, I'm able to give some context to it because I work for Mark. I know who he is. I know what he stands for. He's not one of those guys who's trying to create any issue. He was really truly supporting the family. I mean, George Floyd's family. When the brother came out and made the statement that we can now breathe, that's exactly what he meant. And I think, should he have thought through it more? Probably so. But he came out and took responsibility for it. He goes, I don't want nobody else getting heat for this. I made this decision. I'm the one that put this out there. I'm not taking it back. Some of Mark's best friends are Black. I'm just being very honest with you. I know that without question. So I know it wasn't a statement to incite anything. I think people took it and made it what they wanted to make it. So to answer your question, it probably was just one of those things that happen, and you got to let it go and move on.
Yeah, and that's I look, every time someone has an opportunity, I feel like to attack someone who makes a mistake, they're taking it nowadays. But I really feel like, look, the context was bad because someone didn't give him good, like someone should have said, hey, hope like if I was on his staff, I would have said, hey, maybe you should say we can breathe again, right?
And
Use the
I,
exact
and
line that he said, right? Like know what has happened in the past so you don't kind
right,
of fall into that trap.
right.
Because I
I
feel
hear
like
that.
I feel like the sentiment was right. Like I feel
Right.
like it was.
No, but what you said is true. You wish somebody would have had enough respect of the situation to say, hey, Mark, look at this. I don't know what the process is there. Maybe there's nobody who's really looking at it. And Mark is saying, hey, send this out. Hey, Mark says, send it out. He's the owner, send it out. That's what it is. That can happen sometimes. You don't always have these checks and balances when it comes to the owners that people think that there. It don't work that way.
Yeah.
And if it is, some people get intimidated by the owner. So I'm not going to say anything because this is the owner that asked me to do this. I need to go do it.
Yeah, see, that's where I have a problem because I will always push back. And
Yes.
where I work, right, I'm
Right.
that guy, which I think they love and hate, right? It's like, why do you question everything? Because I don't want to make a mistake. I want to make sure that it's right, right? Like,
Wow.
to your earlier point, I don't want you to drop me in the plane and tell me to fly it.
That's
I want to
right.
make sure I know how to fly it before I take off. So,
Absolutely.
um, so speaking of getting attacked, LeBron James, who we talked about a little bit earlier, we're both excited for him to come back onto the court. It was great to see him run in and doing his sprints. And as Laker fans, we got AD back. We need to get ready for a nice playoff run here and a repeat. But he came under some attack
Yes, he
when
did.
he tweeted out about the Columbus police. There was an officer who shot and shot and killed a lady who was we think was holding a knife and trying to stab someone.
Have a nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I guess a couple of questions come to mind. Like we all applaud. I was on another show 2 days ago, and I said, for all the pressure, for all the expectations that were put on LeBron as the chosen one when he came out of high school,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot tell me anyone has handled that spotlight, that pressure, those expectations better than he has. We don't hear about him getting in trouble outside, right? There's no strip club stories. There's no,
No.
massage parlors. There's, the only thing you could say is that he's outspoken when it comes to social issues. But what did we criticize Jordan about? That he didn't speak out about those issues. So,
Right.
you can't win. So here's a guy who takes it upon himself, right? Donates money. He's charitable. He builds schools. He does everything presumably right, right? He speaks out about issues. He uses his platform for good.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately he comes out. And so do you think the frustration that he felt, and when he posted that, probably not knowing the full story, because he later deleted it, but then kind of explained why he did it, like it was about the bigger picture, it wasn't about that incident. What's your take on it?
I think, and I can't speak for him. I think LeBron is entitled to say, do whatever he wants, and not because it's LeBron James. That should start right. And I think because it wasn't normal, and goes back to that again, people went, no, you can't do that. And he tried to be respectful and take it down and gave the reasons why. I think you got to say what you mean what you say. You put it out there, you got to stand behind it, you got to own it, and own why you did it. And I think he would, in the right context, right conversations with people. I really think he thought, the killing of the young lady was wrong. That there was something else that could have been done. I know she had a knife, like she was going to attack somebody, but you're taking a life. I think we all know what these guns do. When you shoot somebody that close range, they're probably not going to make it. And so that, instead of it being the last option, it just seems like it's always been the first option. And him saying you're next, okay, it was sending a message. Everybody says it was dividing the country and this and that and all that. I don't know that. I just think here's a man of color who saw another person get killed, not injured, not where they have a chance to continue with their life. She's dead now. And so to me, there's even a bigger picture here that people should be talking about more so than what LeBron James said, in my mind.
Police officers are trained that if there's a weapon in hand and they're trained to shoot to kill. And maybe that's part of the problem, right? Maybe it should be they should be trained to shoot in the leg. I don't know. Like I'm not in that situation, because you get both sides. You hear, well, if it was your daughter up against the car and
Mhm.
another person was about to stab her, presumably, and kill her, wouldn't you want
Why,
the police officer to shoot
why,
her
why
or
can't I
shoot them?
grab? Why can't I grab that person? I mean, if the person, I hate to say it this way, and I'm probably wrong, and I'll probably get killed for it. A person getting stabbed and the person dying is two different things to me. I can recover from a stab wound. I'm not recovering if I get shot and I die. And I just, not saying that it would have been right for her to stab anybody, but this is a woman. We have no other way of disarming the situation that's going on other than to pull the gun and shoot. I just think there's more to it.
I'm going to stick on LeBron, but there's more questions obviously that come out of this.
Mhm.
But with LeBron, so once that happened, right? He takes it down, he tries to explain himself, and then you start seeing, and I don't know if you've seen it, the clips of I
Mhm.
believe he's in a barbershop, and he's saying, now the clip, I'll tell you the clip you saw, which was, I ain't messing around with no white people. But if you rewind it back and listen to the whole thing, what he was saying was, as I came out of my situation, right out of high school to this school, I said, hey, I'm not messing around. Yeah, he did say with white people, I'm just going to focus on my team, my players, on playing basketball. Right? There's more context to what he said versus the clip
Right.
that everybody
Right.
showed.
Mhm.
But of course, that's also come under scrutiny. Um, I think he's getting a bit of a raw deal because, like I said, they're showing the one clip that makes him
Oh yeah.
seem one way. Um, your thoughts?
I agree. I think he's getting the tough end of the stick because of LeBron James. And he does live a luxurious life. And there's things that people know he never has to deal with. And, glass house, don't throw stones. That's what people say all the time. But at the same time, I think he came from a good place for his people, and it was taken way out of context. Because there's even black men who are challenging on what he said, because he lives in $100 million house, and the people that protect him are Caucasian. I get all that, but at the same time, he's still a man. He's a father. He's a husband. He knows right from wrong, and he made a statement, and he took it down. And I just wish he wouldn't have. And that's where I am with it, regardless of what the arbitrage would be from you getting whatever you get from what people are saying. That was what you felt. That's your conviction.
The way it hit me, right, is because I try to actually look into things before I make a decision. And I
Hmm.
get it. Look, no matter what you say, someone's going to disagree with it to the point
Yes.
where, hey, you don't know what you're talking about. But the way I looked at it was, what he was saying was, I grew up, listen, he wasn't always privileged. And I think that's, look, yes, does he have a great life now? I would assume so, in terms of money and things,
Hmm.
right? He's a
Hmm.
he's a world renowned, celebrity, he's an athlete,
Right.
all that stuff is wonderful, is fantastic. But he wasn't always there, right? When he was in high school, he was in, Akron or whatever, Ohio. It wasn't the greatest neighborhood in the world. He wasn't rich by any means. He wasn't privileged growing up. And he said what I think, and you grew up in a neighborhood that wasn't that great either. It was,
Hmm.
hey, I don't know what these, because the school he was going to, these rich white people. So I'm not going to really get involved there to get myself in trouble. I'm going to stick to what I know and do my job, play basketball, whatever. So that's why when I look at it, I'm like, well, yeah, like if I went to a black high school for the first time, would I say, I'm going to go party up with all the guys? No, I'm going to be like, no, I'm going to kind of keep to myself at first, right? Get the lay of the land and figure it out.
Right. Right.
I think that's common sense. So that's how I took it. I didn't take it as, I don't like people, white people, I'm a racist against white. Like I didn't feel that.
Right. No, LeBron is not a racist that way at all. I think he is very committed to being a voice for injustice. And it just happens to be the injustice is more with minorities than it is with Caucasians, but I got to go back and push back on something you said a second ago. You said he didn't have anything growing up. I would challenge that, because as a senior, this young man had a contract that he turned down for $10 million.
No, I meant I meant growing up. It wasn't like his family was wealthy, is what I meant. Yeah,
no doubt it wasn't, but there's not any. I guess the point I'm making, as a 17-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, people don't come into millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, fair enough.
Have to go. And don't get me wrong, I know there was a struggle up until that time, and he earned it. Now, I'm not taking anything away from him, but the early part of his life was what it was. But as a teen, he experienced something that a lot of people never experienced. And he earned it, and he did it, and he handled it, and he made others successful. That's the thing I love about him. He reached back to his own people, and he's made them all successful, because he understood that if he didn't, there's a possibility it couldn't be. And so you have to have somebody that spearheads it, and you got to have some brains around it. And Maverick and those guys, they're the brains around it all. But trust me, LeBron is very involved, to the highest level. But at the same time, I think people misjudge people really fast. People don't accept people for their own experiences and what they've been through and what they know. Because the first thing that came out, he lives in a $100 million house. He got all these servants. He's got all these people. Why is he even talking about this? Why is he even making a big deal about it? It's
because why he's talking about it is, one, because not everybody has the same kind of. Listen, we talked about this, you and I, early on, where when you're driving around in Cincinnati, right, you might get the benefit of the doubt because people recognize you and say, "Hey, coach." But if you're in somewhere else where they don't recognize you,
Cleveland, where they do, right?
Well, but you make a joke, but if LeBron goes somewhere where they don't recognize him, right? If he were to shave his beard and then he's going to be treated like just anybody else driving down the street.
Absolutely.
And if I don't know if you remember, but I think it was the first year he moved to LA, they painted some not very nice words on his home. So it's not like he's that far removed, because you mentioned, right, he's a father, right, he's a husband,
right.
And that's listen, and that's something happening at his house.
Yes.
I get it. You want to change, because no matter how much money you have, it can still touch you. It can still touch you.
Absolutely. In matter of fact, sometimes it touches them in ways that we all don't know. And we think everybody's okay, but you look over in those homes and there's a lot going on. A lot.
Yeah. And then people tell them to just shut up and dribble. Right? now that you play basketball, you're not supposed to talk anymore. So
somebody said that the other day about somebody too. They shouldn't be making comments. I forget who it was, said you shouldn't be making comments, you should just be worried about playing basketball and fishing again. And it was really LeBron. It was LeBron. It was about LeBron. He shouldn't be talking about anything else outside of shooting, scoring, dribbling, rebounding, and those things. I was like, wow.
How someone believes because you're an athlete or an entertainer or what, now all of a sudden you can't have an opinion on world issues, on politics. Somehow you have to turn that off. I just, it blows my mind, because all those people who do talk about it for a living, they're just people's opinion. Right? They're no smarter than anybody else. They're just people with opinions who someone happened to put on, on TV. Let's be honest.
And it's an influence, and sometimes people are leading people the wrong way. You don't even know it, and then you realize, oh man, I didn't know that. That happens all the time. But you're right. I mean, this the opinions, the way people downplay things or play into things is very detrimental to all.
Yeah, listen, I think we're going down that road, which is scaring me, right? Because everyone is pulling, they're, again, to prove your point, you have to go further to one side or the other, when in reality, I don't believe I'm actually going to say this, because I don't think I've ever said it in my life. I agree with Tyler Perry. Medea, right? Meet me in the middle, right? Black, white, Asian, meet me in the middle, because that's where, we're going to make some change. And, I'm paraphrasing what he said when he won his award a couple of nights ago. But right, that's really where nothing's going to happen unless we find a middle ground.
Yeah.
And it brings me to my last point, because it was something that I saw a lot of through this LeBron James thing was, why are we so focused? I mean, I saw it a lot. And I think we saw it a lot too last year when this happened, when the George Floyd incident happened, was why are we so focused on police officers killing black men? Because they kill white people too. They kill, they get killed themselves. There is other things killing, it's not just police officers killing black men, it's black men killing black men as well. Like there's all this, how come we don't hear about all these other stories? And so, and then obviously we've heard a lot this week, I don't know if you've seen it as well, about Black Lives Matter. Whether these stories are true or not, that's the other part we don't know. Whereas they've collected millions and billions of dollars, and they haven't given $1 back to anybody. They are going out and buying, huge mansions for themselves. They're a business, they're not a charity. All these narratives, right, are being spun. And the question is it's an either or question. Are we too focused on one thing when there's so many other issues? Or do we need to be focused because we can only fix one thing at a time?
No, I think we need to focus on more things. I think the thing that is the main thing has been the main thing, the killing of minority people. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, that's happened, and you said it. I mean, there are Caucasian people being killed and doing certain things, but if you just go by the sheer what has really gone on in our world, it's been minorities getting killed. So that's the reason why it's such a huge issue. And I think people need to truly understand that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's probably double, the homicides and stuff that go on. And I know people will tell me, well, no, there's also black on black crime, like as you just mentioned. We know that. Well, we get that. There's white on white crime. But there is a unbelievable amount of people of not being minority that are killing minorities, and that's an issue.
Yeah, I think the numbers, the number that always gets thrown to me when I say anything is, well, there's been twice as many white men killed by police than black men.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, but there's 5 times more white men, right? It's not that it's more, it's that it's disproportionate. And then the comeback is always, oh, but it's because, they're getting arrested more. And I said, yeah, exactly. They're getting pulled over more too at an unproportionate rate, right? Which is, that's also the problem, right? There's more, it's always, well, there's more interactions. Yeah, think about that for a minute.
That's right.
And I feel like I'm saying every day, just put it into context, right? And then look back at it. Because there's another issue. There's been 158 this year, 158 mass shootings. And it almost becomes back page news because there's so many other things. And also when something happens very often, I hate to say it, we become desensitized to it.
Yes, it's become normal now. Okay.
We can't let these things be.
Okay.
we can't let that be the normal, right? Like that, we can't think, it's just another mass shooting. Don't take away our guns.
Right.
And we've never talked about gun control. So we're going to end the show on, I don't even know your answer here. So what is I'll tell you mine, but what's your opinion on I guess this issue? So is it just, hey, it's our Second Amendment, we have right to bear arms, we should do it, and you can't argue it? Or, hey, we need to do something because there's clearly a problem?
We need to do something because there's clearly a problem. I mean, we have to. And I don't know that we ever will in my lifetime. I'm concerned because weapons are the number one cause of fatalities in certain communities, because people are shooting people at a high rate, and people are pulling guns on people at a high rate. And guns there's nothing good that happens with a gun. Not what? I mean, it's nothing. I mean, I know people say, well, you get to protect your family. Okay, yeah, you do. But somebody's going to get hurt behind it. Somebody's going to get seriously hurt.
They're getting hurt. It's not that they're getting hurt. And, there's so many issues, because when you read that Second Amendment, it went from, and there was a Supreme Court case that has now made it, before it was in the home to protect yourself, but now they're saying, well, no, it actually says you can bear arms anywhere. So now you should be able to carry them out in public.
Anywhere you want.
anywhere you want. And I just thought, I don't know that you're going down the right path here. In Arizona, when I lived in Arizona, they had passed a law that you could take them at
Right.
bars and clubs. And I said, hold on, a bunch of rowdy guys with booze and guns. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And then to the other point where, hey, I want, you want to protect your house, fine. There needs to be something there. I get it.
Yes.
Hunt. I want to hunt. Oh, my brother is a hunter.
Hmm.
And I've had this conversation with him because don't try to take away his guns. He'll go nuts. But I said, do you need an AR-15? Do you need an AK? Right? He goes, no, that's not hunting. Right? You don't shoot a deer. Like that's not how you shoot a deer.
That's
It's
not
not
honey.
right. That's not hunting, or it's not sport
Right.
anymore if you could do that. So that's for me, and that's why I said I'll tell you my opinion is I understand that life and the gun in the home, the gun for hunting. I don't personally, not for me. However, you don't need an automatic weapon. You
Right.
don't. And I think that's, if you look, I think it was 15 in Colorado. All of them were AR-15s or whatever number it was, but they were all AR-15s. Okay,
Hmm.
that's clearly a problem. And
That's a
then
problem.
and then of course I have the conversation. I say, well, those are all illegal. I said, where do you think the illegal guns come from? They come from people who legally buy them, and then they're stolen, sold,
Yeah.
whatever, right? But
Yeah.
it starts there. So I'm not. It's weird because me, I'm typically on one side or the other. I'm kind of on the fence on this one. I'm like, I think, I hope I don't get in trouble. I'm going to tell you a story, and I hope I don't get in trouble for the story. So I'll have to delete it if I do. When I lived in Arizona, I went to a store as a I didn't even have I don't have a green card. I had a working visa, and I
Right.
bought a gun and walked out with a gun. Now I did it because a friend of mine had this shooting range, and we'd go
Hmm.
there a couple times a month and shoot at the range, and then it would go into a lockbox and all that stuff. But I mean, I walked in and bought a gun. I wasn't even an American citizen. There's no check. And I think that's part of the problem is there's rules in place. They just don't, no one follows them. Right. I think it's a
Right.
3-day background check, that stuff.
Right.
That wasn't done. So when I have an argument with people, I say, look, they don't need to change the laws. They need to
Enforce them.
enforce the laws. Right. And that'll probably create a big enough dent, I think. And then, like I said, and then the automatic weapons. So I thought that I felt like the same day that there was that one mass shooting, I think was the same day
Hmm.
that the Chauvin trial verdict came out, and you heard
Yes.
nothing about it. It was
Nothing.
buried.
Very.
Final thoughts for tonight, Coach?
Final thoughts are we need gun control. That's for sure. And I think we all know that and respect that. And I do. You have a right to bear arms, but do you have a right to kill someone? And I just think those are very fine lines that you're dealing with. If somebody's coming in your home, obviously you got to protect your family. I don't, like you said, I don't run from that. But it has to end up in a fatality at the rate that it does. And nobody should be coming to your home. I mean, we can go a step further, but I just think until we change some of the things about our Constitution, our bylaws, we're going to continue to have the same problem because I don't see change coming. I hear conversations, but I don't see real change coming.
I have my final thought is that on the same topic is one, every time someone tells me guns don't kill people, people kill people, I always rebut by saying, no, people with guns kill people.
Absolutely.
And two, it's the Second Amendment. And you should look up what the word amendment means. It means an amendment, meaning they change something. So you're allowed
Yes.
to amend an amendment now that it was written in 1719. Things have
Right.
changed a little bit in 300 years, that it
A
might
lot
be
of it.
time to make some more amendments, right?
Yes.
Because that's what they did. They realized something needed to be changed, and they changed it.
And that's true though. That's where we are with so many things. People are now saying it's okay. They don't want to change. Let's just leave it as it is until it affects them. So as it affects you, you want change. When it's not affecting you, it's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. It'll get better. That we need to stop doing, because eventually it may affect you and you just don't know that it will.
Well, it's because it's normal, coach. Doesn't need
It's
to be
normal.
right.
You just said it. You just nailed that one.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. We got to get some guests back on here.
Next week, we got them.